afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Janitor back with another cast in the second game of BratOK versus White Raw. So let's go ahead and get started here. Looks like we are on Metalopolis in close spawning positions. White Raw, in case you didn't watch the last one, White Raw won with a 6-gate push with some Colossi. So this is game 2 in the Intel Extreme Masters division. White Raw against BratOK. So spawning in these close Metalopolis positions. So as we note here, the very short distances between White Raw and BratOK. Going to meet maybe some early aggression. We don't know what'll come out here, but either way, pretty interesting game. I'm wondering how BratOK feels about the previous game, what his plans are for the next one, if he's going to go ahead and make those Banshees again, or if he sees these close positions, do you think he's going to go for an early pressure? We don't really know yet. So starting out here, neither player looking like they're about to start cheesing, so both players, White Raw spending his Chrono Boost on those probes, and a 10 supply depot, 12 barracks coming out for BratOK. So thus far, pretty standard stuff. Gateway and then a scout from White Raw, so scout moving out. Gonna actually scout in the correct position first, so they will know where they are spawning. It'll be interesting to see how they react. So these Xel'Naga towers are not going to be quite as useful in this game, but always nice to have good vision. And White Raw now spotting where BratOK is, see if anything changes in his play. But so far, obviously really standard stuff for both players. White Raw keeping that Chrono Boost down, trying to do a little bit of probe harass. BratOK simply stops it with one SCV, able to come out and put an end to that. And BratOK also now scouting White Raw in the correct position. Looks like he is going for the Marine and Orbital Command in his base, and expect to see a there goes the Cyber Core down for White Raw. So all standard stuff coming out here. Looks like the Marine will be able to chase off that probe, and here's where we start seeing some variations in the play. So second Marine coming out for BratOK, and the factory should be dropped here pretty soon. So Zealot coming out for White Raw. It'd be interesting to see if he tries to early expand, knowing that these close positions are happening. Last time he expanded off of one gateway, one core, one assimilator, but it does look like he threw down a second assimilator, which is pretty important for some of the timings that Protoss can perform. So we'll see. Should be an interesting strategy coming up here. In the meantime, factory going down for BratOK. Should be seeing a second refinery come down as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he go ahead and moves into that Banshee play that he tried before. Excellent pylon placement for White Raw. This is always a good placement, just to be able to spot what's coming on down here. If any drops come in, he'll be able to spot them pretty early. So White Raw not wanting to lose to Banshees again, or he didn't lose the first time, but not wanting to lose to Banshees, he is going to go ahead and make this Robo facility and be able to stop any Banshee harass that does come out his way. Which does look like BratOK is leaning towards that way. He's making quite a few Marines, and there's the bunker going down along with a Hellion. So no second gas yet, which is kind of interesting. So might be seeing something a little bit different, but there his second gas goes down. I expect that to be something wrong, or he might be going for maybe a Hellion drop. I don't really know yet, but either way, White Raw does not look like he's going to expand right away. Looks like he's going to go for a 2 gateway because of the early positions and Warp Gate coming in. So it looks like BratOK is going to try maybe a Hellion harass here. Could be really interesting to see him drop down in that base. Getting a little bit of supply cap, but that supply depot is almost finished. And an interesting wall-off. You don't see this very often. 3 supply depots followed by a bunker behind. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Looks like both players holding the opposite Xel'Naga tower. Wanted to see if any shenanigans are going on. And the observer is out for White Raw. So looks like Gateway is finished, along with the 3rd Hellion and a command center going down for BratOK. So expecting to see some Hellion harass. Looks like 2 tech labs being dropped. Going to maybe transition into some siege tanks along with Ravens probably, or perhaps Banshees. We don't really know. BratOK moving out, and White Raw really going for this early Robo Bay. So I'm going to try and get Colossi out before he even expands. So going for a little bit more one base play, not nearly as macro oriented, but as you can see here, BratOK does see the Observer. Doesn't have enough for a scan, but chases it off with these Marines. In the meantime, this drop is coming into the back of his base. Needs to be dropped right here and be very careful. Excellent pylon placement by White Raw, placing it in the smoke so that he does not have to worry about this medevac landing into the smoke, which it looks like it might be rallied right there anyway. No, this is a great placement and great job by BratOK to actually come in and drop right here. That is an excellent placement and could do massive damage to this drone line. As we see, it looks like, oh my gosh, White Raw's forces moving out at the perfect time. BratOK able to chase off all of those probes as they lose valuable mining time. And just one stalker enough to push it away, but that was a lot of probes being pulled off and a lot of economic damage being dealt. Just the threat of that being there, he can no longer move out. As you saw, White Raw did want to move out right there, but this drop prevented it from happening. So could be interesting to see what happens here. The threat of that drop is much more important than what actually happened. So it looks like the first Colossi is coming out along with an expansion. But if you notice, in BratOK's base, he already has the command center up and the orbital command morphing in, along with an extra barracks, or an extra bunker going down. So BratOK playing a little bit more defensively after that first game. He's going to go ahead and get Siege Tech finished, and the Raven and Vikings are moving out. In the meantime, White Raw is pushing out with this force, trying to put on a little bit of pressure to BratOK. Pokes forward with his Observer to see what's happening in his base. So could be really interesting to see what happens if he moves out with his Raven. We'll be able to pick off that Observer. BratOK throwing down some more barracks to be able to produce those Marines, as he wants this orbital command to be able to go down. But the threat here from White Raw is preventing that from happening right now. So we could see another win from White Raw. Going to be able to trap that probe, no problem. Meantime, this medevac just chilling, holding these two Hellions in here, just trying to do some more damage. So looks like the expansion just finished for White Raw, and he transferred some probes down there. And these mineral fields doing pretty well. Expect to see some more gateways thrown down as he adds more and more expansion. So BratOK feeling a little cramped in his base right now, so it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that. So looks like he is getting ready to move out as both bunkers have been destroyed. The siege tanks coming down. Looks like the command center is going to land along with these siege tanks being sieged up. In the meantime, these two Hellions have been dropped off and moving in to do damage to the mineral line. It looks like he's going to be able to surround with the probes, but those Hellions did do quite a bit of damage, and White Raw still staying in his own base. And it looks like he's going to move up and try and deny this expansion. Meantime, this siege tank sieged up and going to be able to do massive amounts of damage here. Looks like the point defense drone is down, stopping that fire coming in from the stalkers. These Vikings are going to try and pick off this Colossi. Needs to be very careful. Looks like White Raw is in a little bit of danger there. Needs to be very careful. Both BratOK needs to be very careful with his Vikings, as well as White Raw need to be careful with these Colossi. But these siege tanks are not sieged up. This is going to be a big battle. And it looks like White Raw is pushing in pretty hard, but that zealot count really hurt from the siege tanks earlier. His point defense drone not doing very much, and White Raw being able to put on a lot of pressure here, just doing massive amounts of damage to BratOK as he's forced to land those Vikings to try and do some damage here. BratOK in a terrible position, as looks like he is pulling pulling probes to come down here and join in the fight, and White Raw just keeping this pressure up. Might be a very quick second game here. Look at that, and there's the GG for BratOK. So BratOK is now out of this game, and that will be it for me. So excellent play from White Raw. Both of these games were absolutely excellent by White Raw, and just easily able to push into BratOK's base. So if you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe and let me know. So see you guys.